This is just AMZN for Thursday, June 3rd, 2021. So take a look at the daily. We got our breakdown. We're outside the purple triangle, symmetric triangle here. Yesterday, Wednesday, was a bullish candle, and we opened up Thursday below the low, right? Open was, 3204.23, and the low was 3208. So we cleared the low. We did retest a little bit with this upper wick, and then we actually somehow came all the way back up here. There were some bulls thinking to push this higher, made a slightly higher high, and then rolled over. Another evening star reversal right at a really good resistance. I mean, it doesn't really get much easier than this to see the reversals. So same with this one down here. This is a really nice morning star reversal. We're just talking about these patterns. That was yesterday, right? We said this looked like a evening star reversal here, not exactly at resistance. This didn't quite look like an evening star reversal. This looked like a morning star reversal over here. So we played things a little bit, it played out a little bit differently today. So morning star reversal worked right away. Evening star reversal worked right away. We still got like 3 hours of choppiness going sideways, and then it finally started to roll a little bit later in the day. Got to close really close to the low of the day, made a slightly lower low from earlier, and then just kind of came back up a little bit. So there's a small lower wick, but this candle has taken out all the lows, everything going back to, let's see, did it get below this? 3184, 3184.03. we're 3 cents off of this low. That's crazy. What is this one? 31. Yeah, so we're like a dollar. So $1.03 above this candle's low, and 3 cents above this candle's low. Yeah. Okay. So this looks to me like it's going to keep going bearish. It looks like it's going to continue down. We're at least going to get down to 31.42.33. That's what I've got on the daily. I haven't zoomed out to see what other lines I might have on the 5 minute. These don't always match up with where I've got some lines. But yeah, let's dive into these. So if you were looking for a place to get into a morning star reversal, actually, what's funny with this one is we had a low here. Actually, I'm going to zoom in a little bit by moving one candle forward. Okay, so we made a new low with this candle, kind of a little bit lower this candle, and I wouldn't necessarily say this is exhaustion volume. It's a little bit of it, but we didn't even touch the 5 until it went sideways, like practically sideways here, and then it just kind of pushed lower. There's a little bit of an evening star reversal right here between these 3 candles. But yeah, I mean, this kind of looks like a double bottom, right? Like this was a good place that, it wasn't really going very steep lower. Like this was very steep breakdown. Like we had a quick, breakdown here. We were selling off, and then all of a sudden it stopped. Like this is where earlier in the day, it's like, oh, this, this is going to go bullish. It, even at this point, it looks like a double top. I'm sorry, it looks like a double bottom with a neckline retest right here. This should be our S curve and we go higher. Well, it didn't do that. That's when it broke down. So this morning star reversal, even when it was making this lower low, I'm like, this should retest a little more. It should get into the 21. And sure enough, it started happening immediately. So this candle was really small. The 32.25 call, you could have been buying off of just this one candle. It's like it's a really small range. It just made a new low. Is it really going to push lower from here? Nothing's been just going directionally for a while. Like this, the opens have been going, well, not all of them, but this open was more directional, and for 20 minutes, 25 minutes here than we've seen on some of these days for like hours like this. So I was kind of anticipating that. It's like, okay, where's this going to go? How high is it going to go? Back into the 21, and ended up making it up to the high. But you could have bought this, again, kind of like a blind buy or looking for this double bottom on the 5 minute. It was definitely not a double bottom on the call. I don't know how you would see this as a double bottom. This is more of a stair step on the call option, and then a little bit more of like a wedge, like making slightly lower highs and less lower lows, like, making a little bit of a point here, and then it kind of broke back out bullish. So anyway, if you bought this, like getting in at 5, getting in at 550, stopped out at like 450. Yeah, 460 was low here. I mean, as a blind buy, I would have wanted to get in at like 5. Well, it closed at 475. So if you set up an order to get it in at 5 and a stop at 4, it's a Thursday, go from 5, target of 9. That would have been a little bit higher than these highs. So maybe actually back it off to like 850. And well, 9 still would have filled on this candle, right? But not this one. Yeah, I was 860. So that would have been a quick 4 hours right there. And then you get up here, it's like, okay, this is probably going to roll over. Like I'm waiting, but it gets through the, it does this candle, it doesn't go any lower. It puts this candle in. It's like, okay, how high are we really going to go? Is this really a balance? Are we going to break out bearish and then reverse? I don't see that. I was talking about breaking out and then continuing. So we retest into the same high and roll over. It's like, okay, let's go look at the puts. 31.75 put. What's going on here? Again, same price, like 5. It came down to 5 here. This one came down to 475 and then put in a low of 460. This one came into 5 as the low. That was, why is it not moving? There we go. Nope. Okay, this candle, I'm off a little tiny bit because I moved it an extra candle. So there, that should line up again. We must be missing a 5-minute tick through here somewhere. That's usually what happens when it's off. Yeah, okay, so from here to here. So we didn't have a candle at 11:45. So that's why the line, the vertical line here is off by just the slightest bit. So in the morning, yeah, it's off, and then it actually, we might have missed a couple because it's off more here versus over here. Anyway, 31.75, a lot of low volume through here, but still, I mean, it still gave you the range you needed, even though it was lower volume. As this is doing its evening star reversal, it kind of like it goes down quickly, but then it levels out, which is what we've seen. And as this levels out, like it gave you opportunities to buy at the same morning star reversal on the put, evening star reversal on the stock. And so like, even though it had a low of 5, way over here, you could have been buying at 6 and a stop at 5. It's like, okay, it's held that level all the way through here. And then you have a really high volume candle here, 108 contracts during this 5-minute candle. It kind of looks similar to some of these, 113 over here, 126 over here. Obviously for options, everything moves a little bit differently. You got to kind of understand the option and what's going on. Like this one's getting later in the day. But this one's light, really light all throughout the day, really low volume. And then you can see the volume spikes popping in here. So this was starting to roll at this point. So people are getting into puts even here. So it's like, okay, you didn't get in at 6. Could you get in at 7? Well, yeah, there's another candle there, 7 by 6. Okay. Like there were other opportunities to get into this morning star reversal setup on the put, evening star reversal setup on the stock, and just play it late. It was staying below the 21, pushed back up into it right here, started to roll over. Now you might not get the full 4 hours, but if you had set it up to get in over here, like right on this candle, let's say you got in at 6, stop at 5, and you're holding on to this all the way through here, it's like you're only breaking even. But your target's 10, 4 hours, and it actually made it up to 10 on this candle, and then again at the end of the day. So there was a possibility that with this move here, you could have gotten it. Or you move into another option. You look at another option. Like let's look at 3,200 put and see how that moved. Okay, so that's more expensive. Starts more expensive, takes out the low a lot further here. Almost comes down to 10, comes down to 1030. Does something very similar in this one where it just goes sideways for hours. All the while, it's still holding this Morningstar reversal here on the put and coming back into the same price, as this was breaking out from the Morningstar reversal. Getting some lows in here. Yeah, this is just harder to get $100 risk unless you're actually buying the low. So the low is 1350 here, 1350 here again, 1350, go for 1364 there. Yeah, so 1350, 14 was around the low price to be getting into on this one. That might be a little more expensive for some. So let's look at 3190. What is 3190 doing? You know, just compare how these move. You know, everyone can do this. You guys can all do this on your own. You can look at how the different options are moving. You can, you know, just watch the trade tab where all of the options are actually moving around during the day. It's just hard to visualize them unless you actually put them on a chart and see what's going on here. But 3190, so this is a good balance. It's coming into 10 bucks multiple times. So Morningstar reversal puts in a low of 770. Okay, that breaks out. But I like that it came right back into 10 multiple times here. Yeah, so this would have been a better one for me to get into. Buy at 10, stop at 9, one of my favorite setups, and then it just goes all day. You know, into the end of the day, you're up. You know, could I have gotten, so it would have been a 14 target. With this candle would have filled that. It's possible with how sideways this went. No, I take that back. This was right at a resistance. At this point, it's starting to roll over, but there's not much time left in the day, so I don't want to wait through a retracement. Now I would have left my target at 14. So 14, I would have been into this at 10 and target hit at 14 over here, right at an earlier resistance, and I would have missed out on a bigger move up to 17, 1750, stuff like that. It's too much to risk at this point to get that stop up to 14 and not be stepped out. Like, it doesn't have the follow through yet. I think that's coming. I think we've got bigger candles ahead. I think we got bigger moves ahead. You know, we're back into, we're outside of this. So I think some normal, some more normal things that we're used to. These bigger candles, these bigger moves. You know, there's going to be some momentum coming in. You know, when this kind of rolls over here. So we'll keep an eye on the histogram to see how it's actually going to move. See if we get, you know, the squeeze to fire soon, because we're outside of this range. Just matters how quickly we get into it. But you know, you got to look at these candles to see, you know, how could these have moved, or how could I have traded these different moves. So I like this strike just because it's 3210, but that's not a reason to trade it. Always have a reason to trade the strike you want. So anyway, through here, so let me step forward. So I like this Morningstar reversal. This is a little too wide. That candle is nice and small, $1.10. Yeah, you wouldn't have been playing any of this, you know, looking for 4 hours through here. It's too sideways, and this starts to go even really that much more quiet, and then you get a, you know, a breakdown, takes out the earlier low. This is kind of your signal. Okay, it's moving. What do I need to get into? And get into a pullback, and into, you know, when this candle comes in, you get into the option on the very next bullish candle. You know, getting the stop up here if you can, depends on which strike, how far away you are, that kind of stuff with the dollar risk. But this is saying, okay, we're going lower. And then this one is, okay, I'm retesting that breakout. And this is clearly a breakout of the last, you know, 30, 40 minutes, something like that, almost an hour. So yeah, I mean, you just got to keep looking at these different options. So right now we're at, looks like we closed 3187.40. Let's see, 3187.01. Okay, so we're close to the 3185 strike. If we open on it, that might be the one to be watching. If we gap up a little bit, let's see, we're at 31, yeah, 3180s is where we're at. So maybe 3180 is where we'll settle on. I would love to call it like, oh yeah, just trade this option. I was 10 points off of it last week. I said, what did I say, 3250, and the 3240 ended up being the right one. So how's the volume on this? Really low volume. I don't like the really low volume on the call. It's a hard one to settle on a Friday when the volume is that weak. This is actually decent volume on the put. It's getting more expensive. It would need a little bit of a pullback. You get some good levels in here for it to pull back into. Like 7 would be a good level where we've put in some lows. And then it came down to 565. So 7 wouldn't work with that low. If we get a bigger gap down like we did today, then maybe move down a little bit more, 31.75, 31.70. Some of the calls though aren't going to move as well there just because they're more expensive. They just have less contracts traded. So you know, even if we go up to 85, what's that doing? So that's pretty light on both. Yeah, that's really light on both. It probably won't be 31.85. That'll be a hard one to do. So it looks like we're missing a number of candles during the day. That's too light. So I'm not sure which option. Let's see, I just looked at 31.90. I'm going to go back and look at 31.90 here. That's decent. 31.90 here. Fortunately, we have every 5 points for strikes. We don't always get that. Sometimes it's every 10. This looks better, but this is still really expensive here. So this one's really, yeah, they're both really expensive. So it's a short week. More premium is going to be sucked out first thing in the morning, going into a Friday of a 4-day week. Really need to see where we open and see what option we'll be able to work with. I'm guessing somewhere between 31.75 and 3,200 would be good strikes to hone in on towards the end of the day. If or during the day tomorrow, towards the end of the day, I don't know. As it's moving around, we'll see. But I won't do an update till later this weekend, so won't be able to share what I was watching into the close or during the day till it doesn't help you, but it may help you for another Friday. So yeah, anyway, hope this helps. This is just AMZN. Thanks.